Welcome everybody back to the Moneyline Madness podcast, episode 68 here on a Wednesday morning. I'm Andy B. I'm here with Maddie C. How we doing?
Yes, sir. Big vibes, big vibes. Coming off a nice Yankees win last night, another Aaron Judge home run. He's just making his case for that American League MVP more and more, prominent by the day. I mean, 51 home runs, and it's not September yet. Unheard of numbers, honestly. Really, the best. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. The best hitting season since Bonds. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah.
I really think he is in that caliber right now, and it's incredible to watch.
Yeah, I believe he's at that point. I know a lot of people have said a few different things about Shohei Ohtani maybe winning it. I tend to believe Judge deserves it. Doesn't mean he's gonna get it. Baseball writers seem to have this little fangirling moment whenever they see Shohei hit and pitch. So I can't really say that it's a guarantee he's going to win it. And I can't believe that because the guy almost has 50 home runs now. So, and it's not even September yet. So it's an amazing season he's having. And it's going to be awesome when he's in that orange and blue next year.
Oh, disgusting comment right there. Disgusting.
Did you see at the game yesterday? Somebody had a Judge Mets jersey. I couldn't believe
That's
it.
hilarious.
Who buys
That
that?
is really funny. That's like you go there with the sole purpose of trolling.
Oh,
Double R, how's it
100%.
going, man? Hope you're having a good morning. Ready to talk some football because we're gonna be talking some more fantasy. I had a draft obviously 2 nights ago, and I'm still just thinking about how fantastic I made out in these picks and just some of these guys just flying under the radar. So we definitely want to highlight that because going into this season, there's so many. I really am a big fan of a lot of these guys in terms of second-year players that I really think are going to have a breakout year. So, Andy, you got anybody off the top of your head that you're, dialing in on when it comes to fantasy football this year?
There's somebody that I'm a little upset I didn't get, and I'm offered a trade yesterday, but I have a feeling that the person that has him won't be making that trade is Michael Pittman. I think he's a bona fide. He's already a number one. He's proven he's a number one. He had, I believe it was his second year last year, right? I think he's a third-year player now. And now he has a better quarterback there. So I think that Michael Pittman's a guy that, like, you're going to look at him probably putting up 20.
Double R says, what's the podcast schedule? That way I don't call the cops when you're missing in the mornings. Truthfully, we're looking at, come football season, more likely than not, we're looking at like a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday type of vibe.
Yeah. Probably some afternoons in there too.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a little switched up, but nothing too crazy. We're still coming with these early mornings, and we're still going to be at it nonstop multiple times a week. So for any updates, we will definitely be putting it out there for you guys just to keep you all in check as well. Love the consistency, boys. Great content. Hey, we appreciate you, my man. Always trying to come with that consistency because that's really what gets it done around here.
Oh yeah.
That's what makes it grow, and that's the goal here at Most Sports, just being consistent. 1% better every day. It makes the dream work. So I got another guy for you, and we had discussed him actually a little bit last night on Most Sports TV, and that is the running back from Buffalo, James Cook. Obviously, you're familiar.
Oh, yes.
You are extremely familiar.
familiar.
You're Georgia boy. Talk to me about him because the way that Simo was talking last night, he thinks that he's going to come in and just take the starting role come week 4 from both Singletary and Zach Moss.
He probably should. He's the best of those three. James Cook, I believe he was like a 3rd or 4th round pick, and I thought if he stayed another year, I don't know if he could. I think he was a senior, but he was his 1st round talent. I mean, he's a great receiving back. The perfect person to say he is the perfect comparison would probably be Aaron Jones. He runs a lot like him, and he's a great receiving back, and that's a good guy to be
catches a lot of passes
compared
out of
with.
the backfield.
Yeah, he had a big catch, I know, in the Orange Bowl against Michigan that was, I think, a touchdown from it's a 75-yard touchdown. He's amazing. He definitely should be a starting running back in this league, and I think Buffalo is going to be an amazing place for him because, they don't have one. I love Devin Singletary, but he's at best a backup who shares carries. James Cook runs with a lot of energy, so.
Yeah, I'm not a big Devin Singletary guy, but I just don't want to act like Zach Moss isn't existent in that backfield because going into him last season, I was pretty high on him. I thought that he did. But now we're seeing him. He's getting a lot of the goal line touches, and he just had 2 touchdowns in that preseason game. So
I don't
I
take
don't,
anything that happens in preseason seriously.
nah, I mean,
No.
I think to
I
some
mean, you saw
extent, I got to give him
yesterday.
some respect
You
of
saw
him being a
yesterday that
workhorse.
what was it? I think 800 players were cut in the last 2 days. Those are the guys that were playing. Like, those were the guys that were on the field most of the
Okay.
time in the
Okay.
preseason.
Fair enough. So we're riding with the James Cook wave in
Oh
terms of
yeah, oh yeah. I'm a huge.
him being next up.
Obviously, I watched a lot of. I watched every game he played too, and he was amazing. There's a lot of guys like that Georgia had come out that are actually underrated. I think they have another one that is on the Raiders, Zamir White. And they have
Yes.
unfortunately, he's going to be behind a starting running back, Josh Jacobs.
He's another one
Starting
that
in the sense, but yeah,
honestly I
Zamir
had
White.
on my list, and I saw Nick Orr commented on some Facebook post yesterday as well that he had Zamir White, and honestly, it
Yeah,
was kind of shocking that Josh Jacobs didn't get cut yesterday, in my opinion, or last night.
I think they don't know yet with Zamir. I think he's going to be great. Obviously, he should be great, but I think once you know Zamir White's going to be great, then you can get rid of Josh Jacobs, right?
But
Like
even
they cut Kenyon Drake, which I thought was odd. I mean, Kenyon Drake was
I
pretty
would
bad
cut
last year.
Josh Jacobs instead before Kenyon Drake, though. I just don't think Josh Jacobs is him.
I
Kenyon
don't
Drake
think
at
that's
least
wrong.
offers
I
a
don't.
little bit more out of the
Yeah,
backfield. Like Josh
Ken.
Jacobs is so one-dimensional in terms of running backs to me. I
Yeah,
just can't see him lasting in
he's
the
also
league another year.
smaller. He's also smaller, which is it hurts him. Zamir White is. Yeah, I go look up a picture of that guy. He's a fucking monster.
He's a tank,
So
yeah. Yeah, no, that's definitely a given. So I have Zamir White right now on the back of my bench, just kind of stocked there.
in our league.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
shit.
yeah,
I was waiting until
yeah.
like week. I was waiting until like week 3 is like around the time I think people will start kind of hearing a lot like Elijah Mitchell last year. Like you'll
I
start
was
to hear him a couple weeks in, and you already took him. So.
I was memeing a little bit. I was looking for players, and I was gonna pick up Colin Kaepernick.
Oh my god, I
But
did that
then,
last year.
but then I just saw Zamir White, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll be smart and be
Hey,
logical
you know what?
here.
It might look good. I did that a few years ago with Kareem Hunt. I traded for
Hey,
him. My
Kareem
brother had
Hunt.
drafted him for some reason, and I traded Jason Witten for him.
Wow,
One-on-one
Kareem Hunt has
flip.
had a bunch of seasons where he just comes
It
out
was
and
it was his season. It was his first year
oh,
where
the
he was
season. Okay.
insane. Yeah.
I mean, even that one year with Cleveland, where he ended up taking over when Nick Chubb got hurt a little bit.
Oh yeah.
It
I think
came
that
out
was
that he
last year,
just,
right? He asked for a
I
trade
want to say
this year.
2 years ago.
Might have been 2 years ago. He asked for a trade this year. He didn't get it.
Did he?
I was a little
Huh.
surprised. I think it was Billy who drafted him. I'm not in on him. Kareem this year.
No,
Like, he wanted
neither,
out,
really.
so he's not going to be fully invested to in a sense. And I think they have another running back, right? Didn't they draft somebody? Or am I wrong by that? I gotta look. but-
Well, they do have Ernest Johnson, who is
So there you go. They have a multi running back set with Nick Chubb, who's a workhorse who can literally get hit and it doesn't make an effect on him. So I really don't like the Kareem Hunt this year. I think he's a guy who might get cut by week 4 when you see he's not playing much. Not cut by the Browns. In fantasy he'll get cut.
I got another guy that I think could low key make some noise because I think Tampa Bay right now, their backfield, it's just Uncle Lenny now. They got rid of Rojo, so it's Leonard. I almost said Leonard Williams.
You
Leonard
almost said-
Fournette
Yeah.
in the backfield, just taking all of those snaps by himself. Rashad White. I don't know. It's Rachaad. I don't know
I'm
if
sure
that's
it's still
Rashad or
Rashad. My guess would still be Rashad.
Kid's gonna have himself a season. I think
Think
he's
so?
gonna take a decent amount of snaps this year. He was a 3rd round pick, and he 220. Here I'm looking at 224 carries and 57 targets in 15 games with Arizona State last season, and.
Yeah.
I mean, he put up 182 rushes for 1,000 yards and 15 touchdowns as his rushing line, while adding 43 catches for 456 yards and 1 touchdown in the passing game. Tom Brady adding a guy like that straight out of college is going to be dangerous.
So
It's going to be dangerous.
I'm looking in. First of all, he's projected 95.9 points. I'd expect him to get a little bit higher than that, and he's only rostered in 11.8 percent of leagues. I could see it. I honestly could see him being like one of, because every year you have somebody that comes out of nowhere and is like that guy. Like last year for me, it was Elijah Mitchell. I don't think anybody expected him to come out and just be. He was really good for a few weeks, then he got hurt. But I think, and Javonte Williams is kind of the same thing. I think he kind of came out of nowhere too. You see that happen. Somebody's got to be that. Years ago with Alvin Kamara. This
And
year,
we know
Rashad.
Leonard Fournette, isn't necessarily the most healthy of guys that I mean, he's missed, I think,
You
2 or
think?
3 games every season with just something, some lingering injury. It always seems to happen. And hey, we saw the pictures of Leonard Fournette about a month ago. He was looking a little beefy. I don't know if
Well,
he was
he was very
necessarily.
upset about everybody saying he looked
He
beefy.
was. He
I
was
said,
very upset.
look, I get upset when people call me. My girlfriend calls me beefy all the time because I'm a big guy. I take it on the chin. If I don't want to be beefy, I'll work on it. So
Yeah. So,
come
and
on.
you look at the ESPN Player Insight, the projection overview, and actually 26% of people have him over, like, booming over that 12 and a
I
half point threshold.
I think he's
So
one of those guys he can't bust because you don't have many expectations for him, right?
yeah,
That's the
yeah,
kind
no,
of feeling that
that's
I have.
true.
So if anything he does is a boom, anything he doesn't do well is just okay,
Yep,
part of the course.
yep.
I have a guy. You're gonna be upset with me, and I think it was weeks ago. Whenever you guys posted the clip of Mo, and he said, "I don't have a problem with this guy," and I think he said, "I don't have a problem with Carson Wentz." So
I have a problem. I'm a
I know
Carson
you.
Wentz hater.
I
I
could tell.
I, I don't like.
I could
Carson
tell
Wentz.
from the clip, just from your face. I have never been a Carson Wentz hater, although last year he did screw me over. He was my backup last year, and he had to play one time. All he needed to do was play one time. It was one time he threw like 3 picks in the game. Like, it was terrible. But this year, Ron Rivera, veteran head coach, good head coach, I think, pretty good receivers around him, actually. Terry McLaurin, obviously. Hopefully a running game with him. I know Antonio Gibson's been a little rough in preseason camp,
And
they
I
said,
mean,
but
Brian Robinson actually got announced as the starter prior to getting shot. So
hey, and you know what? He doesn't. I saw the pictures of him. He probably doesn't look like he's going to play the first few weeks just because he's, it happens.
recovering.
But yeah, recovering. You
It
got to recover.
happens.
It happens. We've all been through it. But yeah, I think a better offense around him than he had. I mean, in Indianapolis, he had a great offense around him. Don't get me wrong, but he also wasn't. There was no depth in the receiver core. I think there's a little bit more in Washington, and I think also the fact that he is a veteran head coach who knows how to deal with that will help him. Think about the guys he's had. I mean, he had Doug Peterson, who everybody doesn't think is a very good head coach.
I don't mind Doug Peterson in Jacksonville right now, though.
No, that's good.
Crazy,
but in Philly, it kind of just faded after that Super Bowl. I mean, he couldn't stay in Philly anyway. He was like, he could not physically. Carson Wentz could not play quarterback in Philly anymore after getting hurt and then them winning the Super Bowl without him. That fucked him up mentally.
No, yeah, absolutely.
And last year, I don't think Frank Reich's that good of a head coach in terms of offensive play calling, and I don't think that offense was really ready last year. You saw, I mean, he couldn't command that offense. I think Ron Rivera is going to get him ready for that. He's not a starter by any means on a team, but I think Carson Wentz, he's not picked up in our league. I'll be honest, I thought about it. He was my second guy. I got Matt Ryan, but he would be a nice backup to have if you have a quarterback that maybe has health issues or maybe struggles early. You pick him up, or if you Baker Mayfield's a guy like that. Maybe you want to pick him up. I know I don't know if you saw the quote yesterday. He's juiced to be facing
a lot of
week 1.
And one of my good friends, Constantine, he has a Dynasty Dogs fantasy football podcast. Very knowledgeable when it comes to football. I trust Constantine with so many football takes all the time. He is very high on Baker Mayfield this season, and I don't know. I had mixed feelings because going into it, I was like, dude, Baker Mayfield is not going to do shit. And then he came to me the other night, and he was like, man, I really like Baker going into this season. And I asked him why, and he really thinks it was just Cleveland bringing him down.
I agree. I tend to agree that Baker will. I didn't like Baker in Cleveland. I didn't think that team was good enough, but look, everybody seems to improve when they leave Cleveland. Odell did. Odell was terrible in Cleveland. He wasn't getting the ball. Went to LA. They won the Super Bowl because they had Odell. So it seems to just be a trend. It's a lot like what it used to be with the Mets. Like, guys would leave and they'd become stars. Like, I kind of believe that could happen for Baker. If anybody who left Cleveland could turn into a star, it's Baker. Baker has everything but size to be a quarterback, and we've seen that the size really doesn't get to him in anything he's done. So, and I think, hell, he's going to get every game this year. I don't think anybody expects him to get benched if he's struggling. He's going to get every game to start. Sam Darnold's not going to start for that team. So he'll get his opportunity this year. So,
yeah.
And he has good receivers. I mean, he's
DJ
Moore.
He has DJ Moore. He has Curtis Samuel. They got
Robbie Anderson, and they just picked somebody up. Who the hell did they pick up?
And they obviously have CMC fully healthy. They have Chuba
Hopefully.
Hubbard as well.
I'm going to look this up, who they just, because this is going to piss me off the entire episode if I don't remember who they got.
Wide receiver wise?
They just literally, somebody got cut, and they picked somebody up.
Interesting. But I mean, hey, I don't mind it necessarily. He's got pieces around him to, make things happen.
Oh,
I
here we
think
go. Got it.
who is
They
it?
traded for Laviska Shenault. Good playmaker.
LaVisca
So there you go.
Chenault.
So there you
Okay,
go. They have a
yeah.
pretty good receiving core there.
It's just pretty good or like a lot of mid.
Well,
Like I don't
they
know.
also have
DJ
Terrence
Moore is
Marshall.
legitimate to me.
DJ Moore is great. I think Laviska's a great playmaker. I think Robbie needs to prove himself again. He had a really rough year last year, but granted, Sam Darnold was his quarterback again. He couldn't be happy about that. And Terrence Marshall showed a lot last year. I know he's a tight end, but so that is a pretty. You're right. Maybe they're mid right now, but their potential
To get
they have the
proven,
potential
yeah.
to be maybe the best.
It's just
right?
so
of the-
Double R says I don't think Baker's that guy. Some would say Baker held Odell and the Browns back. I don't know. See, I could agree with that as well. Like I really don't know. This season's going to determine so
Yeah.
much because even you're talking about the Panthers and how they could be something, and I'm just looking at all of these guys. These are guys that didn't make it somewhere else, and they're all just looking for a resurgent season with the Panthers. Baker Mayfield, Laviska Shenault, Robbie Anderson.
Well, no, I don't know if Laviska's that guy. Laviska was just
Laviska was expected to have a
in.
fantastic season last year.
He got hurt, didn't he?
No,
I think
he
he
just
did.
couldn't catch
Well,
passes.
like I said,
He had so
have to
many
look at-
drops last
you have
season.
to look at who these guys were playing with. Trevor Lawrence was terrible last year. Like he had didn't show anything to expect him to be a franchise quarterback, right? Did he? Like I don't think he did. So I think that has to matter, right? Laviska's a good playmaker. We saw that with who the hell was his quarterback down in Jacksonville when he had that great season? Nick Foles, I think it was, or Gardner Minshew. Like he was playing well with Gardner.
Yeah.
So Gardner Minshew and Baker Mayfield are very similar players.
Oh,
So-
it's just so much mid flying around right now. I
Hey,
just don't-
mid could be. You know what mid is a level down from? Great.
We'll see. We will see. Double R thinks that Jarvis Landry could surprise people in New Orleans. They got
Nah, I'm
a
off.
decent.
I'm
They got a
off on it.
decent squad down there. I mean, obviously, Jameis Winston's looking for a comeback player of the year type of season. Very highly touted by a lot of people as
I
who they
am
think is
highly
gonna win
touting
that.
Jameis, yeah.
win that award. Michael Thomas as well. The only thing about Jarvis Landry, he's just a little on the older side. That's the
is.
only thing that really gets to me is that I think his best years were in Miami. And, I mean, going to Cleveland really ages you, man. Like he went from, being a young buck to all of a sudden a few years in Cleveland, and now he's old and might be out the league in a couple seasons.
They have a pretty decent depth-wise receiving core too. I mean, I don't know if you count Chris Olave because he's a first-round pick.
Absolutely do.
I guess
yeah.
you'd count him even though he hasn't proven anything yet. Michael Thomas, who I'm looking Michael Thomas up right now on Google search. I don't know who this picture is, but it's not Michael Thomas, the receiver. So, but they have Marquez Callaway. And
I mean, maybe if he
Tre'Quan
stayed
Smith,
healthy,
too.
he would, earn his picture being on Google. But
That's true.
too
People
bad he
might have
can't
forgot
stay
what he
on the
looked like.
field.
To be honest with you,
Literally, he
it's
doesn't.
been so long.
He's never out there, so it doesn't. The shit is
He
unreal.
is the most amazing story of he literally got his contract and then we didn't see him for 2 years,
Yeah,
and he got paid.
yeah.
Like he got paid for that.
And
That's-
every few weeks, he's just like, shit. What other? He just looks up like a graph of like human anatomy, and he's like, what
Yeah, he
part of
ran
me
out of
is,
things.
is
He ran out
injured
of
right
things.
now? Like, what part of me can I pick to be hurt? Like, I don't know. I'm somewhat off the Michael Thomas wave right now, but
Damn.
I mean, I don't know. I still think he has a decent season, but I'm not, sitting here grouping him in the top 5 wide receivers anymore.
Michael
especially
Thomas?
after
No,
that.
he's not top 5 yet. He has to. I mean, he has the perfect quarterback for that though, because Jameis Winston loves to stack up stacks.
Double R says, I seen a meme saying the Knicks paid $350 million for a mid 3 of Randall, RJ, and Brunson. I mean,
Can you?
Randall's
can you
mid.
say it?
Randall's the mid.
Brunson's pretty mid right now too, but like I said, it's on a step
Brunson's a
from
good
mid to great.
player. Like Brunson, I think is like Brunson's a hooper.
Is
Everyone
good mid
that-
though?
Around the NBA is good mid. No, good isn't mid.
So
and
you're telling me
RJ
I
is
was
good as
wrong.
well. Randall is mid, but RJ
But
and Brunson are
compare
not
that
mid
to other big
individually. If you
threes.
I was gonna say, if you're comparing them as if they're a big
Yeah.
3, they're not
mid
a big
compared
3.
to everybody else. They're not a big three.
Nobody was a. I don't. If Julius Randle's part of any big 3, I don't want to be a part of that 3.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be a fan of that. I
could
want him out
say-
in New York, but
Yeah.
that's just me. We'll touch on basketball in a little bit because we're
Yeah.
gonna talk the RJ contract as well. But I got another
I
guy
love that,
for
though.
you.
the mid three.
Yeah, it's a
That
great.
is elite.
Everybody just likes to just take a jab at the Knicks whenever they can, right?
Oh, it's easy when certain things happen.
It's low hanging fruit at this
It
point.
is.
But I got one because we talk a lot about running backs, wide receivers being sleepers. You would just mention Baker as a potential quarterback being a sleeper.
And Carson Wentz. Don't forget Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
When Carson Wentz has his resurgence. When
I'm
Carson
gonna
Wentz has
forget
his
him.
resurgence, I want to go back to this episode and talk about it.
We definitely can. I got a guy for you that I think is going to be a sleeper. And I don't know, he had somewhat of an okay season last year, but I think this is where he really establishes himself. And that's Irv Smith, tight end for the Minnesota Vikings. I was decently high on him 2 years ago, but it was a little contested over there with the tight end spot. And now this is the first year that he's really solidified himself as that guy. Kyle Rudolph has been gone now, and he's had a year in the system with Kirk Cousins to where now Kirk is trusting him a lot more. With Justin Jefferson getting the shine that he is, they're going to need a tight end to kind of take some of the pressure off of him, Dalvin Cook. Adam Thielen's getting a little older, now that we see his injuries kind of piling up towards the end of the regular seasons. The past 2 years, I hate to say it, I love Adam Thielen. I'm a big Thielen guy. He can't stay healthy when it comes to the end of the regular season. And it is what it is. In the NFL, you're so physically taxed that it happens, but they need to look elsewhere in terms of ball distribution. And I think Irv Smith is going to benefit a lot this year, especially from Kirk Cousins. So he's a sleeper for me in the tight end position. You can definitely get him in the later rounds. I could actually probably tell you Irv Smith average draft position because it's definitely not that high. I mean, a lot of people I'm seeing right now pick like 130 to 1. Yeah, the consensus is around pick 150 to 175. So if you could steal him in some later rounds, I really think he's going to be up there with Kyle Pitts in terms of production. I'm not that high on Kyle Pitts.
I could see. Yeah, I mean, we went through this the other day. I'm not that high on Kyle Pitts either, but I think he's talented. I just don't think he has a team around him. Irv Smith has that, so I agree with you on that. The thing about Thielen getting hurt toward the end of the season, the Vikings don't play meaningful games toward the end of the season, so that really doesn't matter. But they have some depth at receiver. I just needed to get that dig in there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They have KJ Osborne too, so they have a pretty solid receiving core that he might be a guy where if Justin Jefferson has to miss a game, KJ Osborne becomes a guy for
right there.
Slide in, say.
Yeah.
I think they drafted somebody too.
Did they?
Yeah, I want to say this guy was just drafted, Jalen Naylor. Not Rager, Naylor.
Josh Naylor from the Cleveland Indians?
Jalen
Rager? Oh, interesting.
No. Dude, can you believe he made the roster?
Barely.
He's the 53rd guy.
But then J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who they traded away, gets cut by the Seattle Seahawks.
Dude, they traded a 6th and 7th round pick for J.J. Arcega-Whiteside and then cut him. And you know what the Cowboys got for Amari Cooper? A 5th round pick. They got about the same that was traded for J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
Yeah. So who's more of a dumbass, the Cowboys or the Seahawks in that scenario?
Gotta be the Cowboys, right? How can you trade Amari Cooper and not get value back?
Because they didn't want to give him the bag, and that's Jerry Jones being an old cheap
He made
bastard.
20 million. Yeah, but you don't have to. I guess if a team trades for a guy that they know isn't going to play for a high contract, I guess you can't really get value back for that. But man, you got to figure that out. That's a 5th round pick for a guy who's. I had him last year, I think, on my team. He's
been a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
I mean, Double R says that Jalen Rager has actually had a great camp.
Yeah.
He has, and I think I came on here and mentioned him. I mentioned that he was part of an offensive weapon that Jalen Hurts had, and Andy absolutely roasted me. And it got clipped up because Jalen Rager apparently is not that guy. But I think young guys still have room to grow, and I think now with a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, who is looking to expand in his arsenal come year 2,
I think he's just buried now.
He might.
You think he's getting any targets with those two? No, Devontae
he might not be getting purposeful targets, but he might get targets being that
when they're down 15 and
AJ Brown and Devontae are both going to be covered. In that sense, I could see him kind of getting some garbage. So
over the past few weeks, we talked about the Packers receivers. Every time a receiver comes available, I'm like, let's go pick him up. Let's go. If he's a veteran receiver in the league, I'm like, let's go pick him up. I did it the other day with Darius Slayton. I've done it with a lot of guys. I want anybody who can catch the football, right? I heard Jalen Reagor might get cut and somebody tagged the Packers in it. I wanted the guy to delete his Twitter. It's the one guy. If he got cut, I wouldn't want him. No, he's not good at football. Like, I don't like to be mean. But like he has struggled to catch for 3 years now. He has not been able to figure it out. So.
Yeah.
And
that is a problem.
The stain of being the guy they took instead of Justin Jefferson too, which that sucks.
He says he's going to be the main punt return, kick returner. He could potentially fit for the slot right between Pascal and Watkins.
No, not in.
No,
not on my fantasy team.
You're not buying it. You're not buying it. Hey, I mean, I don't think he's going to be great.
No.
But I think A.J. Brown and Devontae are going to be hounding those receptions from Jalen Hurts. I think A.J. Brown is a wide receiver 1, and he's a guy that you build around in terms of an offense. So I think that they're really going to utilize him a lot this season in terms of he could be taking jet sweeps out the backfield. The guy is like 6'5". So, I mean, if they want to use A.J. Brown in any sense of, an offensive scheme, it probably means at the expense of Jalen Reagor's, time on the field.
Yeah.
So
if there's a number 3 receiver in Philly, I think it's Pascal right now. Till
I think so.
Reagor proves he can catch. Right?
And even Sammy Watkins on the back end of his career. Like,
no, that's not Sammy Watkins. That's not.
Sammy
Watkins is in fucking
Sammy's
Green Bay. He's on he's our number 2 receiver.
Jesus,
Don't
dude.
do this.
Oh my God, I thought he was in a retirement home.
I wish he was in a.
God, what a journeyman career he had.
Dude, we paid him $4 million guaranteed. Not even making the league minimum.
Dallas Goedert is a solid target as well. I do like Dallas Goedert. I have him in a fantasy league because I think he could be finished, and with a decent.
He's like one of the top 5 tight ends in the league right now.
Yeah,
I would say.
A kid tried giving me Kyle Pitts last night in a deal for Dallas Goedert and James Conner. And
he wanted you to give him more.
Yeah.
That kid's insane.
No, that's what I said. I said get out of here.
If you're gonna make a trade for Goddard, you can't make that deal for more. Like flip Pitts and Goddard, and you give me more.
Yeah. I got another little sleeper for you, and we talked about him a little bit last night, and he's your boy, so I figured we'd bring him up. Now this isn't my sleeper because I'm not going to sit here and claim him in case he shits the bed, but Simo was very high on Romeo Dubes last night. Okay, yeah. He literally, did you hear it? Did you hear?
I don't think I was watching at that point.
The
Mets game was on, so I think I was.
Oh man,
okay.
He said Aaron Rodgers really likes to make random receivers superstars, and he is picking Romeo Dubes to be that guy this season that Aaron Rodgers chooses to turn into a random superstar.
Well, I'll say this. Devontae Adams was a 3rd-round pick. Okay, so there's no shame in counting on mid-round picks to be great or be good or whatever. But all I've heard of camp is that Romeo Dubes has been great, but he's also had his troubles. He dropped some passes he shouldn't drop. Okay.
Was he the one that A-Rod called out?
Yes, because he's a young guy.
He was going off last night, apparently.
Yeah. So the thing about that is, at this point, fantasy-wise, I considered Romeo Dubes because I do think he's going to be a very good player in the slot, probably. Maybe even wide out just because there just isn't any. And it was either him or Christian Watson, who was our 2nd-round pick, was our first receiver picked. And I chose Watson. But from a pure just football standpoint, the fact that Romeo Dubes, I think that's how you say his last name, is going to be playing such a major role and impact
tells you enough about the Packers.
So bad to me. It's such a negative to me because
you don't have to rely on rookies like that. You shouldn't.
Yeah, if the Rams did it after winning the Super Bowl, cool. You lost Odell, go replace him with a rookie. That's fine. You won the Super Bowl. The Packers have lost in the playoffs 3 consecutive years in heartbreaking fashion, mostly because their offenses sucked in the playoffs, solely in the playoffs. And now we're counting on rookies to turn into stars in the rookie season.
Just too much. It's a lot. Yeah.
It's unfortunate to me. That's why when I heard the name Romeo Dubes, that's what I think of right now. I don't think of how the guy could be. I saw his highlights when he was in college. Looks like a good player. Looks like he could be a nice slot receiver maybe in his career, maybe even more. A lot like Randall Cobb in that way. A little taller, but it's just so hard for me to get excited about that. That's why I said the other day to my dad, I was like, we're at dinner, and I'm like, I'm excited to talk football this year, but I don't know how excited I am for the Packers right now because I just don't know what I'm getting. Possibly a great team, possibly a team who just can't move the football. So it's whenever I hear Romeo Dubes, I think the guy's going to have to be a star with how much I've heard of him. So
yeah. Yep.
But yeah, he is the guy that Aaron called out.
Let me ask you a question now. I had mentioned it last night. You guys are in need of a wide receiver. There's a guy sitting out there, Cole Beasley, not signed by an NFL team right now.
Yeah, and he fits the Packers offense. So
he does. He would be a great Aaron Rodgers guy, in my opinion. There are some, controversies with him.
He's a very...
He's vocal.
What would the word be?
He's very
not even that. He's a very controversial. I don't know if controversial is the word. Polarizing. Polarizing would be the word. Him and Aaron would be very interesting together.
I mean, in terms of on the field skills, the guy.
Oh yes, for sure.
And he's a solidified slot receiver, one of the better slot receivers in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we had mentioned it last episode. I think that the Packers could have just handled this so much better, and they still can. You could still go get Odell Beckham for the second half of your season. You could still grab Cole Beasley at probably not a crazy price.
No,
to fill a gap.
Probably league minimum at this point. But
yeah,
remember what I said? I just said about the Rams. If the Rams were doing what the Packers were doing, it'd be fine. The Rams got Allen Robinson. They're not trusting rookies. McVay wants to win another one. He's trusted veterans. So yeah, I agree with you. Cole Beasley would fit the team. I just don't know if the Packers want to continue on this run where their players love to be like Aaron loves to be outspoken and well within his right. He's a celebrity at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Packers love that.
Continue that trend. Yeah. They're like the Giants in a sense where they're like any type of spotlight that isn't about football, get it off of us.
Like if what happened to anybody else on the team last year, if it wasn't Aaron Rodgers, would that player still have been on the team? I mean, he went through just so much crap. You had the lying about, well, not lying. He didn't lie, whatever. But you had the whole vaccine crap, and then you had all the other stuff like.
Now he's popping yerkies.
Yeah, he's popping perks, which I know you're in that fantasy group chat. You heard what my friend Josh said. He was like, "How do you feel?" I don't feel about it. He's popping perks. Good for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising. We talked about it last night.
Dude, did you watch that game live? The game against the Bears. Remember that game against the Bears? He came out and he was hurt, and then he came out and he looked like another person. And then after the game, he looked like he was on another planet. That was the game he was talking about. It happens.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Lawrence Taylor used to do crack cocaine before games.
Who was on crack?
Like, legitimately, Aaron Rodgers popping a couple, painkillers before the games is not shocking to anybody that has been around sports for more than a few years.
Yeah.
These guys, especially football, it is so physically taxing that they probably can't last as long as they do, even half the season.
Aaron's
without
in
doing
season
any,
18, I think now. I mean, this is. Can you put up double R's thing? I don't think I can, but the Packers don't like to bring in free agents. Don't like to bring in free agents. It used to be true. Now they've been bringing in free agents. I mean, go look at their defense. They have Adrian Amos. They have Preston Smith. Their defense
I like Adrian Amos, honestly.
Their defense is filled with free agents. The problem is they don't like to bring in receiver free agents. I mean, they traded for Cobb back last year. That was their biggest move last year. This year, they didn't sign anybody. They drafted a bunch of guys. It seems to be their receiving core is always drafted. They didn't bring in Odell. They didn't bring in Jarvis Landry when they had the chance. Julio Jones this year. It doesn't seem like Odell's going to get a chance this year either. So, I mean, they don't seem to be a team that will bring in free agent receivers. Everywhere else on the roster, they have a free agent everywhere. Except, I guess, running back. But that's just kind of, I don't know if it's they don't like to bring in free agents at all. They don't like to bring in receivers, which is extremely odd to me because it's the position where you could prove the most in a season. So
yeah, for sure. I got a question for you now. I just picked this guy up on one of my fantasy drafts last night, and I'm gonna be honest, I auto picked. I was driving and I I didn't get to see it. I didn't realize that they were doing a 45-second timer on these picks.
Yeah.
I
In the
thought it was a
middle of our
minute.
draft, I paused the draft and made it 30 seconds because a few of you guys were taking a little too long.
Yeah,
Not
I
you.
didn't realize that this draft was going as fast as it did,
Yeah.
and it auto-picked James Conner for me. And initially, I was just like, man, fuck.
Is he
But
ever
then
going to have
I'm
a
looking
season
at
as good
this-
as last year?
I'm looking right now, and he's the number one, the clear-cut number one. Chase Edmonds is gone. So I'm like, can he have a solid season? Like, I think he may, with no DeAndre Hopkins for 8 weeks. They need James Conner to be really good.
Yeah, the opportunity will be there. That's kind of the way I look at it. The opportunity for him to be great will be there because he's going to get a lot of carries, he's going to get a lot of plays. But at this point, it's just, does he do it again? I mean, he had an amazing season last year. It's tough to replicate. Maybe he is that type of guy. If he replicates it, then he might be a 5-time Pro Bowler or whatever. But
yeah,
great
story too. I mean,
yeah,
James
amazing
Conner.
story. I mean, he wanted to stay in Pittsburgh. Don't get me wrong, but it just wasn't working there. So he moves out to Arizona, and he was a star last year. So.
Yep. Actually, I'll read off this team for you because it's kind of interesting. I only ended up picking the back half of my draft, but I don't hate my team. So it auto picked my first 5 guys, 6 guys.
Six guys. 4, 5,
6 guys. Yeah. My first fucking 6 rounds auto picked. So it ended up taking Najee Harris.
So you have a double running back there.
It took Najee Harris and then Jamar Chase. And then it went and it took Javonte Williams. And then
3 running backs like that. Is this
James
a double flex
Conner.
league?
It's a 1 flex league with 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers.
Okay. And a kicker.
And a kicker, yeah. So I have Najee, Javonte, Jamar, and James Conner. Then my quarterback is Lamar Jackson.
I like that. That's actually a pretty good team with Lamar now.
And then you look, my tight end is Dallas Goedert.
There you go.
I picked him.
There you go.
I picked him late rounds, but those guys, all that I had mentioned, I have Deontay Johnson as well. All of the starters, aside from Dallas Goedert, were auto-picked. I didn't.
That's amazing because you auto-picked a better team than my team probably is. I mean, that's a pretty good team. You have a quarterback who's
a 10-man league. So
there you go.
Yeah.
You got a receiver that's a star. You've got a bunch of running backs that could be really good. You've got a quarterback who's
my bench
fantasy god.
My bench gets a little shiesty. I can't lie to you.
Who cares
I picked
about
my
your bench? That's for 1 week each. That's what I
picked
say.
my bench, and I took Breece Hall, Rashad Bateman, Amon-Ra, Elijah Moore.
Damn, Amon-Ra's on your bench. Who's your other receiver, you said?
Deontay Johnson and Jamar Chase. Amon-Ra could beat out Deontay.
Amon-Ra's probably that Deontay, yeah.
I really could see it. Amon-Ra's going to have a great season. He's a wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
It's going to be up for him this year, especially now Jared Goff trusts him. And Dan Campbell, I'm a Dan Campbell type of guy.
I am too. Have you been watching any of the hard knocks?
I've been watching the highlights. I can't say that I'm really too into like what goes on with the Lions, but hey, if they're rocking and rolling, I mean, I'm with Dan Campbell. He's eating kneecaps, and he's always coming out trying to compete. So I don't mind it. I respect it.
Yeah,
we got Simo in the chat. What's going on, my boy? How we doing this morning? I'm not necessarily on the train that I think the Lions are going to be good, but I think they're going to be way more competitive than anybody expects. And Amon-Ra is going to have himself a fantastic season.
Hell yeah! I agree with that. I wanted him. He was guy I just missed out on because I think did you pick him in our other league too? I don't know.
I don't think I did.
Somebody picked him, and I was very upset about it.
I want to talk about. There's another guy I think that's not a sleeper, but I think he's getting. I want to say the opposite of a sleeper because I'm expecting him to not have as good of a season, and that's Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, he got kind of screwed this offseason.
He got screwed. Now some people might think that he's going to be taking snaps out of the backfield in kind of a Deebo Samuel role, but man, he's not going to be receiving nearly as much targets, as much volume. It's going to drop exponentially. I feel bad for him because he came into the league thinking I'm going to go to Miami and I'm going to eventually be the wide receiver 1 down there. And the guy comes in the same build as him, just a little bit better.
And to a honestly, I want people in the comments, how good do you think Tua is? Because I think he's terrible. So I want to know, how they didn't think, well, we could upgrade quarterback this year. Matt Ryan was available. That would have been an upgrade. There was a good amount of upgrades that could have possibly happened. They didn't draft the quarterback. I mean, their quarterback is, no offenses to it, you suck. Like, you're not an NFL guy. He was great in college. He was amazing. And he broke my heart in college. But he is maybe bottom 5 of quarterbacks in the NFL right now. And
wow, we're throwing him bottom 5. I don't think he stinks. But
I think he's terrible. I think he's
wow, you
the
think
most
he's really
inaccurate
that bad?
quarterback I've seen. I mean,
yeah, I think it's really going to come back to bite him. Did you see that one pass that people were actually flexing? Tua comes out and throws
underthrew it.
Like, if that's Patty Mahomes, that's a touchdown.
I think Jalen Hurts played what, 10 games. Jalen Hurts played what, 2 seasons? Better than him.
Yeah.
I think I would put him in the bottom 5, and that's being generous. Probably. Carson, who would you rather on your team right now? Carson Wentz or Tua Tagovailoa? Probably would be a bad team anyway, but
wow, the fact that
probably say Carson.
I'm going Tua.
Wow, you stink.
I don't know, man. I'm not.
Tua's not mid. Tua's worse than mid. Tua's the level above mid.
I think Tua is mid. I think Tua is mid, and I think the only difference between Tua being mid and not absolutely awful is his somewhat ability to scramble. But I think that's even like he might be mid. He might be worse than mid.
He's worse than mid. I don't think there's anything about Tua Tagovailoa. I think that's how you say his name. Is that interesting?
Yeah,
and I literally, when I say this,
mid.
I hated Tua in college. Like, go look the national championship game up, broke my heart. And I thought he was gonna be good, but there's just something that's been about him since he came out of college. He doesn't fit that team either. So I don't know. Yeah. I will say this.
Oh, we got another
get his
comment.
Opportunity.
Retro Hockey says Chase Edmonds will save Tua. Wow. Now that's expecting a lot out of Chase Edmonds, because that backfield also has Raheem Mostert in it, and I don't think Raheem Mostert's just a slouch. I think Raheem, if he could stay healthy and given the right opportunity, is a good
What are they
back.
Saving him from? Getting cut? Because I still think he gets cut at the end of the year. Like,
Tua is that bad, bro. I don't know.
If he has another season like last year, get the fuck out of here.
Man.
He's not on that team anymore. They got to find somebody in there. I mean, they had a great coach last year.
If you are the Dolphins, what do you do if you see Tua starting a...
It depends on what pick you have. I'd draft one.
His 2021
I know they
season was really underwhelming, actually.
They wanted Tom Brady years ago. They didn't get Tom Brady. It happens. But you miss out on guys. But they didn't make an effort this year to change. I mean, they changed coaches for no reason.
No reason, no.
There was no reason to fire Brian Flores. He was amazing.
Job.
They keep him, and I love their head coach. Don't get me wrong. Mike McDaniel's going to be an amazing head coach. I just don't think he should be there, because I don't think Flores should get fired. But I don't know. Matt Ryan was available. There was a good amount of Carson Wentz was available.
They trust in Tua. And, I mean, looking at ESPN right now, so Tua's statistics last season: 2,650 passing yards with 16 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. They're expecting him to take a leap this season, ESPN, from 2,650 passing yards to 3,980.
No shot.
To go from 16 touchdowns to 26 touchdowns with only 3 more interceptions.
Does Tyreek Hill really do this for somebody? No.
I don't. Yeah, that's what I'm really like. Wow, that's really generous. And man,
I have a guy who probably should be their quarterback right now, and he just signed a whatever deal to take less money to be a backup. Jimmy Garoppolo would be a better player right now than Tua. They had a chance.
Wow, I think Jimmy G.
Drew Lock would be about as equal to Tua as you could get. It would be about equal, making equal. Yeah, I'm being dead serious right now. It'd be equal if they had Drew Lock. I mean, that's how bad I think Tua is. Neither of them have a future.
Dimes over Tua?
Yes.
Wow.
Are you kidding me?
Too, but dude, I don't know. I've never.
When I said bottom 5, I'm starting to think he might be in the bottom 3. Like, I'm starting to look at. I'm looking at quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks right now. Geno Smith is worse than him. Okay. Marcus Mariota is better than him. Mitchell Trubisky, I would say they're like equal.
Bake,
They're about close. Jared
Bake
Goff's a little
clears
bit
him.
better than him, right? So, Mac Jones is better than him. Jacoby Brissett's
Yeah,
not
Mac
better than him, but
Jones
that doesn't
might be
count
better.
because Deshaun's there. He's better than Davis
Ah,
Mills. I'll give him that. You're better than Davis Mills.
I don't know
And
about
Zach-
that. You get Mills Mafia in the right situation, he might be slinging rock.
I think Zach Wilson's like at that same level as him.
I think Zach Wilson's
Just
a
because
little
Zach
bit
Wilson
better.
hasn't taken the leap yet. Although there's a lot of people that seem to be very.
I'm
They're
high on Zach
just
Wilson this
assuming it's
season
gonna
because of his
happen.
O-line.
Yeah, they're just assuming Zach Wilson's going to take the leap next year. He hasn't even done it yet. And they, like, Kenny Pickett just drafted. I'd take him over Tua right now. Kenny Pickett just got drafted.
Wow.
Yes. That's how little I think Tua's going to. And he's on a team in this league. And I'm not quite sure why. I don't know who has him. But I have nothing. There's nothing that shows me that Tua.
Let me ask you, if you have to build a squad for tomorrow's game, and you have the choice between Tua and Malik Willis
Just for one game.
for
Or am
one
I-
game, you got to win this football game.
For one game, I got to take Tua just because
He's in the league.
One game.
Yeah. I
But
guess.
in my future, Malik Willis, 100%. I think Malik Willis is gonna be real. I don't know if you saw any of his preseason highlights.
Oh yeah, he was
that
snapping.
guy's legit.
He was going stupid. But yeah, I mean,
Jordan Love, no, not a shot.
Oh. I'm just like, it might. So ESPN says it might be a saving grace for Tagovailoa, considering that he has not been a fantasy factor thus far in his career. But adding a group that includes superstars Tyreek Hill and Teron Armstead might be his saving grace.
So ESPN has him ranked 25th. 25th out of 32, obviously. So of the starters. So they have him a little bit over bottom 5, right? A little bit.
Jeez, yeah,
But
I guess
they
I
still
guess
have
so.
him close.
Yeah, it's still really close, but man. So Tua stinker. That's what we're getting at this season.
Pretty much. That might be the name of this episode.
Yeah.
because
GG's
Tua
for Tua.
is mid.
He is the mids. All right, I think that's gonna wrap us for football talk because
Yeah.
we be flying through the football talk.
Oh yeah.
What do you want to get to next? Because we could talk RJ if you want, real quick. We could talk baseball.
RJ. I know you're excited to
All
talk
right.
about RJ.
I mean, I'm excited, but I'm not excited because I already this is just the Knicks off season is, it is what it is at this point. I mean, we saw RJ get an extension, and for everybody that's saying, "Oh my God, RJ Barrett just got $30 million a year," it's up to $30 million with incentives. Incentives being all NBA team, all like an all-star appearance, those types of things. So let's not get the Knicks overpaid because first off, he's a 22-year-old that averaged 26 points after the All-Star break this past season. He needs some respect on his name. He's a solidified blue chip prospect since the day he stepped onto a middle school basketball court. The guy has been highly touted out of Canada. Steve Nash is the kid's godfather, for crying out loud. He is not just going to get money and bust. He's not just going to go into this next year and suck. So for guys like Ed, who love to just pull out that old narrative that, they're the Knicks, they're going to find a way to fuck it up. It simply is not the case with RJ Barrett. It's a new regime. It's a new day in New York. And a kid like that doesn't go from being the best in his class to just sucking. It doesn't happen because he was over Zion Williamson in, terms of draft
He was the
position
number-
for a majority of that season.
And he
Until
was the number 1 player in the country when Zion was number 2.
Exactly. Until Zion started showing up with some nice windmill dunks, jumping out the gym, RJ was that guy. And RJ, I still think, is that guy.
RJ committed to Duke first.
RJ did commit to Duke first. RJ set the trend for that big
Those
three of
two-
him,
yeah, those
Cam,
two.
and Zion to come over.
Huh?
And Double R says, I don't mind the extension. New York took care of its own. And it's about time. The Knicks can't do anything right. Because if they didn't extend him, then you hear, the Knicks can never keep their guys. The whole Charlie Ward curse that it's been 29 years since the Knicks extended anybody, any of their first round picks. But then if they do sign him, now it's an overpay all of a sudden. They can't win. And this was an entire chess piece moved by Leon Rose in terms of the Donovan Mitchell deal. And anybody that can't see that, I just don't know what to tell you at this point. They wanted RJ Barrett in the deal, and Leon Rose basically said that's not happening.
Yeah.
So Danny Ainge said, all right, we're going to look elsewhere. He looked elsewhere for a couple weeks, came back and said, hey, we can't find anything, but we still want RJ in the deal. What did Leon Rose do? He said, well, that's not happening. And to make sure it doesn't happen, I'm giving him this pay right now. Right now. And they believe in RJ enough to give him that. And they're comfortable with not only giving him that, but still thinking that they can acquire Donovan Mitchell in the process of giving RJ that money.
So, yeah, that's kind of the question now, right? I mean, I expected RJ to get the extension eventually anyway. You were going to extend him at the end of the year anyway. Why not just do it now, right?
Yep. Do it now, get the trade get him out of the trade talks, because that was never happening.
Yeah,
I don't
that
care
was
what type of
never realistic
report that Woj or Shams put out that he was in there with 2 first-rounders. I just don't believe that.
Yeah, something Woj put out right after sounded like a Utah hit piece, if I've ever seen one. Or maybe it was Washington, because apparently they feel like they have something.
Yes, I saw that as well.
This is the tweet. The Jazz and Knicks can still find a pathway on a Donovan Mitchell trade, but it's just harder to do. Out of 179 NBA players who've had the poison pill restriction, only one, Devin Harris in 2008, was traded. First of all, I don't even know what the fuck the poison pill thing is. I don't want to go into it. I don't care. Devin Harris was not anywhere near what Donovan Mitchell was.
Like, it's just, that was Danny Ainge just trying to slide a nice 20 in the pocket of Woj to put out an article.
Donovan Mitchell will get legitimate value. Who was in the Devin Harris trade that had value? I don't know. I don't remember. So it's too valuable of a trade to really give a crap about a poison pill exemption. They can make the deal if they want to make the deal. If they don't, they don't. So I don't know. Everybody keeps saying the Wizards have this deal that they feel like they're firmly in it. Then get it done. Like, if the Jazz are talking to other teams, why haven't they taken a deal yet? Because they know in their heart they're not getting what the Knicks can give them. So why are they putting everybody through this and making it so it's that difficult when they're just burning clock how it's going to end?
Because they want Quentin Grimes. They want Quentin Grimes and those first-round picks. Double R says the only question with RJ is, can RJ grow as the Knicks superstar, or is his peak this number 2 guy on a good team?
I don't think he has to be their superstar. They're going to get one somehow.
I don't think he has to be the leading scorer. I think he could put up 20 points, 20 to 23 a game. And the difference is that RJ is giving you all NBA type of defense on that other side. You could have that with him giving you 20, and I'll live with that completely, not expecting him to be a first option. You bring in a guy like Donovan Mitchell alongside another guard like Jalen Brunson, who are both solidified buckets. RJ doesn't even have to put his foot on the gas in terms of scoring that much. He could sit at the 3-point line and just hang out if that's all he wants to do. Yeah. But he goes out and he guards the other team's best player night in and night out, and that's what makes him a franchise cornerstone in terms of, being a young guy.
The thing about the NBA that kind of no other sport has this. Why is it not okay to be the second best player on your team? Right? Jaylen Brown takes it. He knows Jason Tatum's the best. Okay. Now that RJ Barrett's there. That's a great
comparison too, actually.
Now that RJ Barrett's there, they know they've got they're attractive now. They were the problem with the Knicks, the reason they could never get a free agent, they were like the least attractive organization in sports. They had nobody. They were starting Pablo Prigioni years ago, and I remember watching him because he looked like my middle school history teacher.
He's the man. I love Prigi.
Yeah, good guy, but they were starting him. That's why they weren't attractive. Now, you think the Knicks aren't attractive now? They've got RJ Barrett. They're trying to get Donovan Mitchell. You think that won't attract somebody else there if they can make it work?
And Julius Randle, I promise Julius Randle is not going to be a long-term piece of this team. So, I'm going to say the new year. I'm telling you.
I agree with you.
January, he's not going to be on the team.
I can't believe he made it through this offseason. I thought he'd be wearing a Kings uniform by now.
I just want to highlight, because we got a comment here from Sam on YouTube. Should I trade Aaron Jones for Cam Akers and Antonio Gibson? Now, I don't think so.
No. Cam Akers is going to be eased in the first few weeks.
Yep.
And Antonio Gibson's had a really rough camp.
And he's not. Brian Robinson is the RB1 back
and
there.
they've got J.D. McKissick back. So, I'm not touching
there's a lot by committee for them. And, Aaron Jones, we know what we're getting out of him. Yeah. A lot of people might be high on A.J. Dillon going into this season, but Aaron Jones is going to be catching so many passes out of the backfield that if you're running a PPR league, I love Aaron Jones in terms of,
Yeah.
giving you those receiving yards out of the running back spot.
I pushed for him, but couldn't get him.
I would keep that, Sam. I don't think that you need to push for, if that was somebody coming to you for that trade, then they're probably just trying to rob your socks. So.
Yeah, I think that's about how I'd put it. Aaron Jones is going to be basically our second receiver at this point.
He's going to be getting a lot of volume, and if your other running back is solid enough to, keep him on the starting roster still, I would stick with what you got. But RJ, in terms of, it's a new day, and the big mid three of Randall, RJ, and Brunson is going to be RJ, Brunson, and Spida come, November, because Randall is not part of this team. And what I do want to say is that one of my good friends, Chris Persianen, is
I love following him on Twitter.
He's a great guy, and he is so knowledgeable of basketball, and he has been blessed with a lot of sources. And I will say that he let us know, basically. So I'm trying to figure out how to say this without name dropping anybody in the Knicks front office. They had basically met with him. A couple of the guys, a few higher ups of the Knicks, had met with Julius Randle and told him going into this summer that, look, we're going to either try and find a new home for you, or you need to take a step back and accept that you aren't the leader of this team going into next season. And that not only is the offense going to be revolving around RJ Barrett, Jalen Brunson, and, whoever they might acquire, but we still want you, if you're interested, to be a part of this, but just kind of on that, side piece of it. Because he thought he was LeBron last season. The Knicks got the 4th seed, and Julius Randle came into 2021 thinking that he was just LeBron taking isolations. I mean, that it was disgusting product all season from him.
He was never meant to be a number one in the NBA, so I hope that that's kind of been drilled into him. He's a good player, but he's not that guy. And also his salary's a little high, obviously, but that's just what happens when you have that good of a season. I agree. I don't think Julius Randle makes it past December with them. Maybe a lot like Jimmy Butler a few years ago got traded in November. I could see that happening. But like I said, this Knicks team's a lot more attractive than they ever have been. And if you're a lower market team and you have a free agent coming up, I'd be afraid of losing him. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that's going to wrap up our basketball talk, because we got a couple MLB.
Picks.
We're going to talk bets, because obviously this is the Moneyline Madness podcast. We're going to end off with some money makers, because the boys are back at it and ready to cash out. MLB slate, can't lie to you, looking a little underwhelming.
Pretty shitty
going into tonight, but that doesn't mean that there isn't money to be made. And big night for you guys. I mean, coming off of yesterday, the Mets, tough loss,
but no shame in losing to the now 90 and 37.
Meek Phil said it best. I don't know if you saw his tweet last night, but he said, "Look, you could be mad about giving up, that hit to Gavin Lux, sure, but losing overall to a team like the Dodgers, one of the best teams right now looking in baseball history." Yeah, you can't be too upset about it.
I'd like to win one in this series. That's all I'm looking at.
And here. Tonight you're looking at that. Jacob deGrom on the mound. You're at City. Timmy Trumpet's back. He's looking to actually play the
turn
trumpet
of the year.
Tonight.
Let's go.
I mean, let's rock and roll. So with that being said, I'm taking the Mets tonight to not only score first, but also win the game. And obviously Jacob deGrom on the mound always saturates the money line a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But right now the Mets to score first and win comes in at plus 130. I really like that, because I think the Mets, they're a good team at the end of the day too. The Dodgers are good, but the Mets are right there in terms of runs being produced. So I think tonight they figure out a way to get this one, especially with Jake on the mound. So I'm going to take them to score first and win at plus 130.
I agree with you 100%. The only thing I have in this game that's probably a little risky is the under. I have under 6.5. I think this is like a 2-1, 3-2 game. Like,
wow,
this is like
6.5 is a low number too. So
yeah, but you got DeGrom, who has a 2.15 ERA, who finally, and I think Gary Cohen said it last night. I think he said the governor is going to be taken off of him. I don't know what the hell that means. I think he's not going to be held back anymore by.
There's no holds barred.
Yeah, it's all Jake
tonight. Yep.
Slinging a rock, if you will.
He could throw 120 pitches tonight.
Yeah, he could throw maybe not 120, but 100. He hasn't even hit 100 yet. I'd like to see him hit 100. 7 innings. Give me 7. Get it to Ottavino and let's go. But DeGrom's strikeouts also I have tonight over 8.5. I can't believe that they're leaving it at under 9 at this point. Every start is just amazing. He strikes out everybody, and the Dodgers have Gallo, Bellinger, Muncy. They all strike out. I mean, Muncy doesn't really chase much, but he still strikes out his fair
You're
share.
getting you're getting 4 strikeouts
Yeah.
from Belly and Gallo.
Yeah.
So that's
So
that right there.
that he 4 strikeouts. If he faces Gallo 3 times, I guarantee you Gallo doesn't make more than a foul tip. Like I don't think he could physically do it.
That's
And
great.
Bellinger too, because they have such high swings. But
Yeah.
so I've got the under. I've got Jake over 8.5, and I'm gonna go Gavin Lux to get a hit.
Wow.
It's actually plus 100. He had 3. I think he had 3 hits last night. Maybe
Yeah,
had 2.
he did.
So he had a couple hits last night. I know he's facing Jacob deGrom, but he's a lefty. He could get a nice little through the hole knock against Jake, and that's plus money. So hey, why not? Right? So
Okay,
that's
yeah.
the 3 I have. That's baseball tonight. I think all eyes are on Queens right now.
They are. They
Pretty dope.
absolutely are. I just want to say the Heen Dog bump day is really just insane. I can't get over
Dude.
the fact that guy is still out there, a starting pitcher for a team.
One thing impressive, the Mets kind of hit him. I'll give him that. Marte and Canna hit rock. I mean, if you saw Canna's home run,
Canna's been on the ball.
Dude, I like Canna. Canna's 280 hitter now, so over.
Yep, hard-nosed
800
guy
OPS,
for
so
sure.
yeah.
I got another pick for you tonight. I
Let's hear
rode
it.
these guys on Monday, and they cashed me out as well. And that's the Minnesota Twins. I took them with
Oh,
Dylan
yeah.
Bundy on the mound then, and I am taking them tonight with John Ryan on the mound. And hey, the money line comes in at minus 135 against an absolutely awful Red Sox team. So they got Michael Wacha, and I'm just not intimidated by anything the Red Sox have to throw out right now.
No, I want to say if Jared Carabas could somehow hear this, God bless you, man. I mean, if you go on Twitter and you follow him, he live tweets every game.
Yep.
Man, when they hit that grand slam, Nick Gordon hit a grand slam, make it 7-4 last night. I saw the heartbreak on Twitter, and
Yeah.
you hate when you see that on Twitter. It's just heartbreak.
Absolutely.
The
It's
Red
just
Sox
not-
are.
I mean, I
Oh,
love to
yeah.
see it from
Wow.
terms of a Yankees, standpoint. As long as they're not playing us, I mean, I love to see a nice little.
I hate to see just like the heartbreak happen in live. I've felt it before as a Mets fan. I know what it feels like to put your bullpen in and immediately the game is over.
I also want to
Immediate.
specify that it was Joe Ryan, not John Ryan. I got the generic, 2 first names mixed.
Yeah, there's only
mixed
two.
up there.
There's only 2 first names that are Joe if you're.
Yeah.
That are Jay if you're.
I mean, what if his name was Justin?
I was gonna say something else, but I decided not to put another word after
I
that.
got all right. I got Yankees tonight going up against the Angels once again. Yankees money line. Garrett Cole on the mound, coming in at minus 195. The Yankees haven't been playing their best baseball as of late, so I think that's why the number is what it is. But with Garrett Cole on the mound, it's always you're feeling a little bit more confident. And at the end of the day, the Angels still stink. So I'm going to be rocking with that. Yankees money line at minus 195, and yeah, let's take that one to the bank.
I'll say that the future AL MVP will be on the field. The question is, what uniform is he wearing? That's pretty much all that the question is.
Yeah, GG's for that one. I got one more for you if you're ready for it. And this one's a little bit of a sleeper potentially because we had talked about this game prior to recording, and that is the Orioles and Guardians. This one has some playoff implications. Now, neither of these teams, I don't think, are going to be making noise come playoff.
You don't think Baltimore's holding that commissioner's trophy at the end of the year?
A little Cinderella run from Adley Rutschman. Maybe they get John Means back for the postseason, just throwing with his dude. He's ambidextrous, and all of a sudden he starts throwing lefty. Hey, I'm with it, but I'm going to be taking Orioles money line tonight, and that comes in at plus 145. And I think for the value of it, I'm going to be throwing half a unit just because I really don't trust the Guardians like that to win a ball game. I know they got Tristan McKenzie on the mound, but at home, he just isn't the same type of guy. So he really thrives in those midday road games, and I'm not with it. So I'm going to be riding with the Orioles tonight, and we're going to be taking the O's at plus 145.
I like it. I said that's actually doesn't look like it's a good game on paper, but it is a good game. Those are 2 postseason teams right now, so I could see that being a ALCS matchup, right? Just kidding.
let's ride with the O's.
Hell yeah, let's ride.
You got anything else for me?
No, I'm good. I got everything out.
Dope.
Talked a lot of Tua shit today, and that
we
made
did.
me
We
very
talked
happy.
a lot of shit in general. Touched on a lot of bases. A lot of bases.
Ooh.
Well, I think that's going to wrap us for
Yes,
today.
sir.
Nice little hour and 5 minute episode. The
Wow, that
MLM
might be the
boys
long.
are.
That's got to be the longest. Although we had some long ones up in the beginning when we were recording out in CSB, but I think we had a
We
long one
did,
too.
but these ones, yeah, those were unintentionally long because we didn't necessarily know what we were doing yet. But now these
Yeah,
are
we know what we're doing
unintentionally
now,
long just because we got we got all the comments, and I wouldn't
dude.
trade it for anything in the world
Oh,
because
absolutely
we're rocking
not,
and rolling over here, and we're going to keep up the momentum all through the postseason in baseball, all through the basketball preseason, and obviously for the
dude. March
NFL and college
Madness is gonna
football.
be insane here. I just want to let you know. I think you and I are doing brackets.
Yeah,
We
we
have
got
to,
now that we got a year of experience under our belts,
dude.
we're gonna be back and ready to
Oh
rock.
yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Double R, thank you as always for tapping
Yes,
in.
sir.
Sam, Retro Hockey, Simo, Nigel, anybody else that was in here, we appreciate all the comments. Thank y'all for rocking with us, and the MLM boys will be back come Friday morning.
Yes,
We'll
sir.
catch you then, and have a good day. Peace.